Because guess what? You're safe in the is such that the basic definition of marriage and family is now skewed to fit the demands of society rather than the standards of God. I did a Google search and I read in an article from a journal called Psychology Today one definition of marriage, and I'll tell us what that, quote that definition to us. That journal, Psychology Today, defines marriage as the process by which two people make their relationship public, official, and permanent. The process by which two people make their relationship public, official, and permanent. It is the joining of two people in a bond that putatively lasts until death, but in practice is often cut short by separation or divorce. The same Google defines family in America as a group of persons united by the ties of marriage, blood, or adoption, constituting a single household and interacting with each other in their respective social positions, usually those of spouses, parents, children, and siblings. Let me break it down for us. There are two key things, or one key thing in both definitions that I want us to go away with and to think about. The first definition says marriage is the process by which two people. The second one says marriage is, or the family is, a group of persons united by the ties of marriage, a group of persons. These sorts of definitions are what the younger generation is being fed with as to what marriage is all about. In those two definitions, there is no mention of male or female. So it could very well be Adam and Steve, or Funke and Rome, according to these definitions. Just any two people or group of persons. With such definitions, there appears to be no future or hope for marriages. As such, can only eventually end in separation and or divorce. Breakdown of the family structure is one of the biggest threats to the generation that we're now raising. Once a family or the family begins to separate out in any culture whatsoever, everything else becomes adversely affected. And so you talk to some young people today, and they have no interest in marriage. You hear some of the quote-unquote role models in society today, the entertainment industry, and so on and so forth. So I don't want to marry. All I just want is to have children. One or two is enough. I am okay. I'm self-made. I'm independent. I have my money. I don't need a man. How will you have children if a man is not involved? Well, you can talk of IVF and adoption and all that. But that is what we find today. And so, we begin to see things like and baby grandfathers all over the place. Because the very foundation upon which this thing to be upon is integrated. I read this. When you see 10 black children, 7 of them are baby children or whatever you want to call it. Most of them will never know their father or a father's love. And that's how comes they end up in crime, in drugs, in gangs, and all sorts of things. I was watching CNN the other day, and they were showing a prison somewhere in South America where they said that all the people there, they have no chance of ever leaving that place. All, I can say 100%, all of them, they were all tattooed up from head to toe. And all of those tattoos had meanings. Either their gang names or the number of people that they had killed or something or the other. And they were being treated like animals with no future. That same statistic that I read said that 1 in every 3 children born in America will live with both biological parents through the age of 18. In other words, 1 out of every 3 will remain in their parents' home until 18. 2/3 of them would have jackpot, died, whatever, somehow, one thing or the other. Sometime back, I listened to an interview granted by a girl who became pregnant at 14. And I gave birth to the child, and she began living alone with her child, 17 years old. And I thought to myself, at 17, where was I? Doing my separated. Is taken. Trends of family breakup and family dysfunction and family disintegration, physical and emotional absence, fathers is heading for a societal catastrophe. I'm going to ask the media to play a short video, 1 minute, 17 seconds for us this morning. Some of you may have seen it. If you are, some of the things you will hear, maybe see, maybe, not so palatable. So if you are sensitive, maybe you should not look at it, but it's not that bad. But I need them to play this video, and there's something that I want to bring out from that video. Media, can you please help us? Please play it. 1 minute, 17 seconds. Audio more than anything.
Walking by the time I took miles, funny thing is
you would see them coming like this, perfectly normal. And all. I think it was in Kenya, one of these East African countries. He drank himself to stupor and he fell down from, I can't remember how many story building of his balcony. And he died. The third one, I can't even remember now. 3 brothers. Where were your parents? So what can we do? How do we begin to fight for our families? Well, first off, we can commit our lives to Christ and raise our families to do the same. In Genesis 18, verse 19, God testified of Abraham. He said, "For I know him, that he will command his children and his household after him, and they shall keep the way of the Lord, to do justice and judgment, that the Lord may bring upon Abraham that which he hath spoken of him." We can commit our lives totally to Christ and raise our families to do the same. What can we do? Fathers must be fathers again. Must be fathers again. Medical director, whatever, we have things to do. Medical director, whatever, we have things to do. With the hospital, we saw the son of this top military brass. Every time that he had got hooked up on drugs and whatever, you will see military personnel. Once you saw military personnel there, and you saw one particular car, tinted, fully tinted, you knew that that boy had come back again. Drugs. Even in Unilag, they knew him. Fathers must be fathers again. Our wives and children are not properties to own. No. They are to be trained as image bearers of God. Fathers, we are called to provide a proper nurturing environment where our children can grow up in love, where they can grow up to serve the Lord. Because the ultimate responsibility for what a family belongs to the father. Several scriptures challenge us as fathers to not just be biological fathers, but to be present fathers. Deuteronomy 6:6-7. "And these words which I command thee this day shall be in your heart, and thou shalt teach them diligently unto thy children." Intentional teaching of God's word at home. Joshua 24 and verse 15, "But as for me and my house, we will serve the Lord." A public declaration of spiritual direction for his household. Genesis 18:19, we saw that Abraham, God commending Abraham for leading his family in righteousness. Proverbs 22 and verse 6, "Train up a child in the way he should go." The fathers should be part of the training process for the children. Psalm 78 verses 5-7. The latter part, verse 7, says that the fathers should make them known to their children. Their fathers should make them known to their children. One generation of fathers is charged to pass faith to the next generation. Ephesians 6 verse 4. "And ye fathers, provoke not your children to wrath, but bring them up in the nurture and admonition of the Lord." 1 Timothy 3:4-5, "One that ruleth well his own house, having his children in subjection with all gravity." Colossians 3:21, "Fathers, provoke not your children to anger, lest they be discouraged, balancing spiritual leadership and gentleness and wisdom." I can go on and on and on, but for time. We need to rise up as fathers again. What can we do? Number 2 or 3, mothers need to be mothers too. 2 Timothy 1 verse 5. Lois and Eunice or Eunice, when I call to remembrance the genuine faith that is in you, which dwelt first in your grandmother Lois and your mother Eunice, and I am persuaded that in you one generation next. These were mothers who fought their children, ensuring that Timothy became who he became and finished well as the minister of the Most High God. I say, Pastor, but that's the Bible. Okay, let's bring it down to, there's a woman by the name Susan Wesley. She was the mother of John and Charles Wesley. An amazing woman. She was born in 1669 in England. She lived for 73 years. And during a challenging time in England in that time, Susanna bore 19 children in 19 years. 9 of those children died as infants, including 2 sets of twins. Someone described Wesley children as a cluster of bright, vehement, argumentative boys and girls living by a clean and high code and on the plainest fare, but drilled to soft stones, to pretty formal courtesies, with learning as an ideal, duty as an atmosphere, and fear of God and law. It is said of Susanna Wesley that every week each child had an hour of her time to learn to talk about the spiritual side of life. Mothers, we also need to rise up. People and they are controversies and life is made. There is no the question then becomes, how far does a child's obedience go? Is it expected to continue even when the child is no longer living under the roof of the parents? Is it expected to continue even when the child has become or is no longer dependent on his or her parents? Controversial questions and areas of disagreements. What happens if the child decides not to obey the parents' instruction? I leave those questions for us to ponder. But let me say this. Children's obedience to parents is comparable to obedience to God, particularly and especially